Hi, I wanted to make a video about an action cam I recently purchased. Um, Here's the action cam. It's the Yi 4K Plus model. I believe this is their latest version of the action cam. And previously they had a Yi 4K model. The difference, I believe, in the Yi 4K and the Yi 4K Plus is the latest model offers 60 frames per second on the 4K recording. That's the only difference. So I purchased this off of a Craigslist. When I went to pick up the camera from the previous owner, he gave me this little nice package, says E4K, and then I was like, I noticed that it was a little bit smaller than the package I've seen online. Turns out this was a Chinese version. Now the Chinese version came in a smaller box than the American or the international version. The international version was a little bit bigger. The reason being is in the international version it came with a underwater housing case like this. Now the Chinese version did not come with a case like this. You had to purchase it separately. But the previous owner had one of these cases and it was kind enough to let me have it, which was great. But you can buy these cases on Amazon for anywhere between $10 to $20. I think they all work great. But obviously the original Yi case probably works a little bit better, but I haven't had a chance to test it out yet. So anyways, when I turned this cam on, first thing I noticed was because it was a Chinese version, everything else is in Chinese. Now I'm pretty fluent in Chinese, and I also read a little bit. But the problem I was facing looking at this camera was there were technical terms in a menu setting which I wasn't familiar with or comfortable reading. So I figured, you know what, maybe there's a way to switch the language setting on this camera. So I went into the settings to see if there was a way, and the previous owner kind of helped me out too. We were looking and we couldn't find a way to switch the language setting to another, say like English or Spanish or anything like that. So it turns out that this was only available in the Chinese language setting because, like I said, it was a Chinese version. I found out later on that they make two versions, the Chinese version and the English version, or the international version. So obviously this was much cheaper. That's why it only had the Chinese language support. But fortunately, I learned online that they have had several firmware upgrades which allow you to change the language setting on this camera. So I decided to go online and see if I could get that latest firmware updated on the camera. So basically, doing it the traditional way, I guess the traditional, so-called the traditional way, is to go to the Yi website, download their firmware, okay, then reformatting your SD card first, make sure you wipe everything clean, then download the firmware from the Yi website and copy it into a SD card and inserting it to this camera, and the camera would then update to the latest firmware. Now that's all great, it's fine, but it just seemed like a little bit too time consuming, right? And also I want to remind somebody that might be interested in doing this. First of all, on this camera, I'm not sure about the GoPros, but on the Yis, they actually recommend a certain type of SD card, SanDisk, or I think it was a couple other brands that they recommend. Now with the original firmware, if you use like a Samsung or something like that, even though if you have a very high-speed SD card, it would not recognize it. The camera would not recognize it. Now that's just on the original firmware, but they've made the updates on the later firmwares, which allow you to put in like a Samsung card. But unfortunately, with the original firmware, you had to have a Yi recommended SD card in order to do the firmware upgrade. So first of all, you want to make sure that you get a Yi approved SD card. Otherwise, you're going to get an error message that says card error or something like that. But anyways, after you get the right card, you could do all that firmware upgrade. Now, I was like, okay, I could do that, but after downloading the app, which I first I didn't know, I just wanted to remotely see what the smartphone could do with this camera. So I went online. I mean, not the App Store. I think they have an Android version, also a iOS Apple version. I was able to download the Yi app, and once you get into the Yi app, you can see there are different types of cameras, security cameras, all kinds of stuff on the camera on the app. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into whatever, whether it's a Yi 4K or in this case a Yi 4K Plus action cam. You can go ahead and through your Wi-Fi connect to your Yi 4K Plus or whatever action camera you have. Now, once you do that, once you're connected through your Wi-Fi, it'll take you, then you can come out of your Wi-Fi settings first of all and go back to your camera app. Okay, and now it's going to come up and you can see that I'm able to actually look at what the camera is looking at on my phone. But one of the things I also noticed is if you were to go into the settings and then go to the device settings, the first thing that comes up under the device setting is firmware. So I figured, you know what, maybe I could do it this way. So what I did was I clicked on the firmware, voila, it was just that easy. Basically the firmware on your phone will allow you to download the latest firmware that the Yi has out there onto your phone first. Once it's downloaded to your phone, because your Yi camera is connected through your app, through Wi-Fi, what happened after I download the app, the firmware on my phone, it actually appeared on the camera itself. And then all you gotta do is click update, and it automatically downloads the app, the firmware, latest firmware, onto the Yi camera. After the update, I turned the camera back on, went into the settings. There you go. Now it shows that it has several different types of language supports in the language settings. So you have Chinese, English, I think this is Russian, Spanish, and German, to name a few, or maybe all of them. So, this was just so easy to do, and I thought, not a lot of people are talking about that on all the videos that I've watched on YouTube. Mostly it was talking about doing it the traditional way with your camera, with the computer, and doing it that way. And, since this is such a convenient way of doing it, I thought, why not just make a video? Maybe somebody is out searching to change the language setting, will happen to find this video, and hopefully this is a much easier way to help them out with downloading the firmware. And also, it's not just downloading the language firmware. I've noticed that a lot of times we don't know that there's a new firmware available for your camera, right? So you have to actually go in and search and see if there's a new firmware that just recently came out. So with this feature that they have on this Yi app, if you go into the device setting, it'll automatically tell you if there's a firmware upgrade available. So that's really great. I mean, that's a real good feature, I think. That allows you to check from time to time just to see, you're just basically one click away. All you gotta do is click on it. If there's one firmware available, just download it that way. It takes no time. I'd say maybe like a minute or two. For me, it was really quick. So, that's a great way also to check if there's a firmware available. And updating the firmware is always great for any camera, right? There's always improvements that they make in terms of adding on some stuff that might correct some errors or what have you. So I hopefully this camera is gonna be. I haven't made too many videos. So I'm gonna start making videos and post them on YouTube. I've heard a lot of great things about this camera. Hopefully this is something that I'd be happy recording with. And also, I'm also recording this video on my Nikon D7100 with the Rode video micro external microphone. I have another video posted on my channel which will give you an idea what the sound quality of this Rode video micro external mic is. I'm extremely happy with that Rode video micro external mic. It's a great little external mic. So if you're interested, please check out my other video. So thanks for watching.